Hey, Kratom Quitters. This is the Kratom Sobriety Podcast, episode number 122. My name is Libby. I'm here with my co-host, Jacob, tonight. How are you, Jacob?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I feel that very deeply. I'm doing just okay as well. But
that's the way it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes. Today's episode, I interviewed Justin, and so I'm really excited for the listeners to hear that story. And as far as the intro topic today, I thought there's always been this buzz about Kratom and how people define it. And I always thought it's kind of interesting how they market it as a stimulant at lower doses and a sedative at higher doses. And I definitely have my own experience and opinions about that, but I figured maybe you could start us off on any opinions or experiences you have on that.
Like probably everybody else, I've read a lot, and I think even if you go to just Wikipedia and look up Kratom, it's going to say at a low dose it acts more like a stimulant, and at higher doses it has more sedating opiate-like properties. And that's definitely what I've heard most people say. I don't know. I don't know if I ever really used the low dose. I think the first time I took Kratom, I took 2 capsules, which was like a gram. I don't think I felt anything. To be fair, I have always had a lot of energy and am pretty hyperactive. So I can drink a lot of coffee and it doesn't do anything to me. I could literally have a coffee right now. It's 7 p.m. and go to bed in an hour and it wouldn't faze me at all. So I'm probably not the best person for the low dose experience. But I will say when I was first started and I was taking 3-ish grams a dose, it was a lot less sedating, and definitely I would say I could be a little bit more productive, I think, at work and stuff. Just maybe, I don't know if focus is the right word, but yeah, I was able to stay on task better. So maybe that is focus. I don't know. But then using the extracts definitely was a lot stronger and felt a lot more like a traditional opiate, like a hydrocodone or maybe even a lower dose oxycodone. So that was my experience. How about you?
I can see where that thought process maybe came from, because it does have a stimulating effect at lower dosages. And I think that the more you take in general, the more sedating it's going to be. I think that it makes more sense that different strains have different effects.
Okay.
I was definitely a Kratom user that used Kratom all day long, but I would use different strains throughout the day, to get a desired effect, because it brought me up. It got me stimulated. It worked kind of like coffee. It kind of motivated me. And then there were, strains that I would lean on into the evening where I was wanting to kind of relax and come down from the day. And I would also consume the vast majority of it at night.
That's what I was going to ask you too. Did you take more of the more sedating strain? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I think any strain you take more of, you can be sedated.
Yeah.
But I find that with any opiate, smaller doses of opiates are kind of stimulating.
Yeah.
For me. I don't know. And I also lean towards I'm an ADD person for sure. So
way back in the day when I first took Percocet or some lower grade opiate, I definitely would say it wasn't knocking me out or making me nod out or anything taking a lot of harder opiates or street drugs would. The strains is interesting too. I mostly used extracts once I got addicted, but there were times when I would travel somewhere and all I could get was powder, or I didn't plan appropriately, or I was trying to quit and maybe I'd switch because I thought that would be the solution. I never bought any probably quality brands online or anything like that. And I did try different strains, I guess, greens and reds, maybe a white. It all seemed to kind of feel very similar to me, but I think, I don't know, I seemed to gravitate if I bought powder to the green for some reason.
Interesting. Even the extracts can have different effects, the different colors of extracts, without getting too specific, but.
And they're all different strengths too. And I felt some of them didn't even really work, and some of them worked really well.
Yeah, for sure.
It also felt a lot too, mindset definitely felt like it played a little bit to do with it. If I don't know, if it was having just a generally a good day, it seemed like it worked better. If I was having a bad day, maybe that's just, just mood in general with any substance. But
fascinating.
Yeah.
I definitely think it affected me differently. I would be more tired, obviously, if I was sleep deprived or,
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to Not that I'm ever going to do this, but because I have no desire to ever go back there. But, had I done more research going into it, maybe I would be able to better, say how an actual strain affected me. Because I think pretty quickly, once I realized it could help with numbing out my emotions and stuff, just gravitated to taking a lot of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is pretty good. Thank you so much for engaging in that discourse with me.
Of course.
I think we'll get into the episode. Have a beautiful night. Hey, Kratom Quitters. Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. My name is Libby. Today I'm with Justin, and I will just have you introduce yourself. Justin, tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. My name's Justin. I live in Columbus, Ohio. Libby reached out to me, and I was really excited for the offer to be on the podcast. I've been a listener for quite some time, and I've really enjoyed my newfound troupe of sober Kratom users. It's growing, and it's just I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on this platform.
Amazing. Do you want to tell me a little bit about who you are outside of addiction and recovery? Any hobbies or music to listen to?
Yeah, I actually grew up in Jersey, right outside Philadelphia. So I'm in native Jersey. I grew up in a big, loving, Italian, loud household. It was a great childhood. I went to college in Philly. That's where I actually met my husband 15 years ago. I remember the day I met him, and we met in school. After school, I traveled abroad for a few years. I lived abroad and got a master's degree, and then I came back to the States, and we ended up in Ohio. And we've been in Columbus for about 12 years now. It's a great community. Outside of the hobbies, we have a few dogs. We love cooking and traveling. My husband's actually from Greece. His family's from Greece, so we've traveled there a lot. And we enjoy cooking and doing things outside, volunteering, helping others. So it's a great city to be in, and excited to kind of maybe reach out to the locals here that are struggling because they're here, and I'm looking forward to helping them.
Amazing. Sounds like you have a really beautiful life there.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. My husband, the past probably 6 or 8 years have been really difficult. I wake up every day, and I'm very grateful to wake up to a man who has committed a lot of his time to learning, respecting, uplifting, honoring me through these past several years of my downfall and now my sobriety. So my support system is amazing. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I also have a very supportive partner who has had a lot to learn in the last few years. So I get that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, do you want to tell me a little bit about what first brought you to Kratom?
Actually, I was sober. I suffered from really bad alcohol addiction. Go back a few years. I suffered an illness where actually I lost hearing. It was sudden sensorial hearing loss, and that just caved me in really bad. It was really hard to lose the sense. I had to start wearing hearing aids. I started to isolate and got really bad depression and anxiety. And on top of some other, triggers and things in life, the hearing loss really put me over the edge, which really compelled me to cope with drinking. In my 20s and early 30s, I was a social drinker. Never really a problem. There's addiction on both sides of my family, and I knew that growing up. And I was mindful of that. But my addiction gene, if we want to say, didn't really kick in until that happened. After losing my hearing and getting hearing aids, I was in my first treatment center probably within 4 or 5 months. And after that, I was in and out of treatment probably 5 or 6 times, going to the hospital, detoxing off of alcohol once a month, and getting to a really dark place. The alcohol was super scary. I ended up getting pancreatitis. I was in the ICU. This whole time, my husband's, by my side, holding my hand, or just looking back on it, the shame and the guilt I continue to work on. So I really learned solidarity and respect for myself in treatment when it finally clicked for me. My sober date from alcohol is November 26th of 2023. So I have actually today's 14 months sober from alcohol for me, which is really
Congratulations.
exciting. Thank you.
Amazing.
I've noticed I've seen a lot of people that are sober from alcohol getting into kratom. It's just this weird dynamic that sober alcoholics are getting into it. You know, it's the way it's marketed, the way it's used, the way we've heard of it. Our little addictive brain is saying, you know, we can try it. We can have a little. It'll help. You know, with the edge. I was 8 months sober from alcohol when I started trying kratom. This was over this past summer. It got really addictive really quick. I started with the gummies, which led to the capsules, which led to the raw leaf, which by the end, which I see really happening, it's really scary. Is the 7OH? These new strains that are coming out are just, you know, like unbelievably strong. That's really scary. So that's kind of how I got to kratom. Now that I'm sober from kratom, I've been sober from kratom for 65 days. So in a few days, I'll have 70. You know, the days really aren't important to me. I don't really enjoy counting time. I enjoy embracing my sobriety. I'm really grateful for my time away from alcohol because my life has unbelievably improved. Something in me wasn't working on my recovery every day that led me to pick up kratom, I believe, and that's what I continue to work on.
Yeah, it's such a common story. Even some alcoholics that like knew what they were getting into that end up using kratom, and then some that just had absolutely no idea because of the marketing. When you found it, were you like in a gas station? Like, how did it come across your radar?
Yeah, I had sober friends. I heard of it in treatment when it first was coming out a few years ago. I know people have gotten into kratom even before that, but I was actually in treatment once with someone who was trying to detox off it a couple of years ago, and they really couldn't figure out how to help them. But yeah, I do smoke, so I was picking up cigarettes and seeing something next to me at the cash register, seeing something behind the guy on the wall, something hanging, you know, just I think subconsciously my mind was looking at it every single time, and I said, well, this isn't a prescription, this isn't, you know, anything I need to get to the doctor from. I can, you know, let me try a little bit, let me see if I can ease some of this, you know, this depression, some of this anxiety, some of this fear, some of whatever was going through my mind. I think that's what ultimately led me to my first time picking up the kratom, you know, at a smoke shop or a gas station.
Yeah. Okay. I know you said that the progression was really quick. How would you characterize that? Like, how quickly did that happen?
I don't think I realized how quick it was until things got really bad. The scary thing is that since getting sober from alcohol and being in treatment for so many times, I was really able to learn all about myself and my addiction and how my brain works. And while I was in treatment, I really enjoyed learning about parts of the brain and different systems and how they work. And I really embraced the life of sobriety. And once I did fully get sober, I started taking classes to be a peer recovery supporter here in the state of Ohio. I know the podcast has had some other peer recovery supporters speak from different states, and I just really enjoyed helping people, and I liked hearing stories. And I was really working hard on my sobriety. I'm thinking, maybe I could be a counselor, maybe I can be a therapist. So starting peer recovery support really was kind of a stepping stone for me to further my interest in working in addiction and helping people learn how to cope in healthy ways and hearing people's stories. And I had been in so many IOP programs, and I have shelves and shelves of books of everything I could learn about sobriety. And while I was taking classes, I started using the kratom, and before I knew it, I said to myself, "This isn't making sense. Like I can't be using while I'm trying to start to help others that are in my same situation." So I stopped taking the classes, and I continued the kratom use. I actually lost my father in August, so subconsciously that led to more of my use. That was really hard. That was slightly unexpected to lose my dad, and I just remember just all the dosing that happened after that quietly, and then my husband finding the bags, my husband finding the capsules, and The scary thing is that he knows how bad it's going to get before I even know how bad it's going to get. He sees me start to isolate. He tells me something's not wrong, what's going on. And the shame and guilt just kept driving me to use. So the gummies were piling up every day. And then buying the 500 bag capsules at the gas station started happening, and just loads and loads of money, and putting stuff on credit cards and defaulting on the student loan payments because I'm paying for this just crazy amounts of money towards the end. And by the time I got to the 7-OH tabs, because I wasn't getting any effect from the capsules or the gummies or the lozenges or the teas anymore, I needed something stronger. The 7-OH spiraled, I would say, within a matter of 5 to 6 weeks before I had to go to the hospital because I withdrawing just horribly. I've seen friends withdraw from opiates. I've seen people withdraw from fentanyl and other scary things, and I didn't think the kratom was going to be that bad. But I guess in the end, I kept using because I knew I could go to the hospital and get some medication to help me stop. And I allowed it to get worse and worse and worse to the point where if I wasn't taking my 7-OH within a matter of 3 hours, I was going into just really scary, horrific withdrawals.
So when you ended up in the hospital, were you intentionally trying to quit and the withdrawals got so bad you went to the hospital, or was there like an overdose? Like what did that look like?
I was to the point where I was probably spending $250 a day on 7-OH. I was probably dosing between 5 and 700 milligrams of 7-OH a day, which is, 6, 8, sometimes 10 tabs a day. Just eating them like Tic Tacs to the point where the financial part of it just grew out of control. And it was so addictive and I wanted it so much. I didn't care. And I became that person that I've read about, that person that I've seen next to me in treatment. I became that person that would do anything to get the 7-OH. I started having these tendencies where I was hitting up certain shops at certain times of the day, so I didn't have to deal with the same people. I knew where to go, how to get it, and then I look back, and that's the same thing I would do for my alcohol. I knew where to go. I knew what time things were open. So the kratom was completely puzzling together the same way that my alcohol addiction was. And I guess I knew when things got really bad, I can just go to the hospital and detox like I did off alcohol. So I knew the only way I could safely get off the kratom was to go to detox. And I used that as a safety net, I think, at the end. The last couple of days, I was like, well, I know I can just go get medicine and detox. Like, I'm familiar with all of this. I've learned the stages of the withdrawal and what you medically have to do. So I kind of use that as an excuse for probably a while to put off actually going to the hospital and asking for help at a hospital not too far from me.
Like a detox?
Well, they have a detox center there. It's a hospital with a attached treatment facility. And I wasn't sure where to go to detox because I started looking online and trying to find out, okay, how can I get help with the kratom? Where can I go? What can I do? What medicines can I take? I tried it at home. I tried to use some prescription medications to help me. I can detox at home. My 7-OH dependency was so high that nothing that I had in my medicine cabinet would get me through the night. The sweats, the shaking, the horrible anxiety, the fears, the guilt. I've detoxed off alcohol several times, but the detox that I was going through at home with the kratom was horrific. I was really scared. My husband was like, we're going, like, we have to go to right now. So I actually reached out to a former counselor online who was working at this treatment center attached to the hospital. And I was honest with her. I have to be honest. I have to ask for help. And I was, that's one thing I still struggle with is asking for that help every single day. So I reached out to a counselor and I said, listen, I'm on this obscene amount of kratom. I don't know what to do. I'm really scared. I've read online, what to do, who to call, but none of that's working. And I was really hesitant to keep reading the misguided information that people were sharing online. In these forums and in these groups and in these Reddit groups. And don't do this, don't do that, try this, try that. And I said to her, like, I need professional help. And she reached out to one of the doctors on staff at the detox center. And she said, I've done kratom patients before. I will absolutely take you in. Please come over here as soon as you can.
So glad you had that contact. Yeah, the forums and the tips and the supplements and it can get so overwhelming, and good for you for just seeking out help.
Yeah, I think people that aren't really familiar with addiction, people that kratom's their first addictive substance, like especially how strong it's getting. I want to let people know that going online and reading other people's what to do and what not to do is, in my opinion, not going to really help you get the help you need. It's going to add to your anxiety. It's going to make you feel unsure. It's going to make you buy things that aren't possibly going to help you. It's going to, force you to try things that might not be medically safe for you to do at home, especially if you're taking super high strains of this stuff. You need to go to the hospital. You need to be medically supervised at that point if you're on a really high level of it. I couldn't quit cold turkey. I couldn't taper down. I tried tapering my intake, but it was, I would have been tapering for a month and just going through a month of grueling pain when I knew if I asked for help and got professional help, I could do it. So for anyone out there that's in a position where they're trying to make a decision for their life, because they're spending loads of money. They're not the same person they are. They're fearful of their marriages, and they're fearful for their children and their finances and their car payments. Just, ask for help. It's the first thing you can do for yourself, because if you can't ask for help for yourself and you can't put yourself first, there's, everything else behind it's not going to matter, because it's just the truth. And I knew that. I learned that in treatment. I knew all the steps I had to take to help myself, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to say, oh, I need help again, because I said I need help again so many times and it never stuck. But I knew if I asked for help again, and I can do it, and I can drop the shame and the guilt, and I can prove to myself that you can be a different person again. Got sober from the alcohol. You have to do to yourself. You know what you do to have to stay sober. Who are your people there? It's going to make it a lot easier for you.
I know. I mean, some people can do it on their own. And I haven't heard like a 7-OH story like this yet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some people can do it on their own.
Absolutely.
But I wasn't one of those people either. And I've always kind of sought help. So I do always advocate for people to seek help if it's possible. But
yeah.
What did it look like in treatment? Like, what did they do for you?
Well, I went over to the hospital and I got triaged, and I was trying to get into the detox center at the hospital. And what ended up happening, which is happening at other places too, is I was triaged as pain seeking, and I was triaged incorrectly. So I was sitting in the ER going through withdrawal for a couple of hours because whoever was triaged me in the incorrect way. So I had to somehow get in touch with the doctors over at the treatment center to say, hey, they're not letting me in. And it was getting late. It was like 6:00 at night, and I'm thinking no one's on staff and I can't get help, and I'm begging, and I finally got into triage, and I got the medicine I needed. Now I'm in the hospital, and I knew once I got triaged correctly, I could get the medicine I need. And I knew I needed Suboxone. At this point, my withdrawals were so strong and my symptoms were so opiate related. I knew in my heart that the only thing I could get right now was Suboxone to help me. Nothing else that I tried or that I had available was going to help me. And I was very hesitant to ask for help because I knew it would lead to the Suboxone. And I think we could have a whole nother interview on medication for opiate use disorder, which is now the term versus MAT. I think it changed on Suboxone and the benefits it has for people. So I don't really want to get into that, but I knew if I got into the treatment center, I would get the Suboxone that I needed to make me feel comfortable and safe and just alleviate all my symptoms. So I got over to the treatment center and got the medicine I needed. I stayed for about 48 hours to withdraw. I wanted to learn more about the medicines to help me, and I wanted to meet the doctor that kindly allowed me to come to treatment, who sat in my hospital bed and went over with me what she was going to do for me as far as a care plan. I'm very grateful for that. I know there's lots of people that are going to seek help and they don't they don't get it, or there's where they go to seek it, they don't know how to treat people with kratom. So it's a difficult drug because some doctors or some ERs say they don't understand it. They're going to put you in triage and then they're going to go look in their medical manual of how to help you because it's still freshly new. I think freshly new because the kratom is getting so strong now. So it's going to be more and more prevalent in ERs. And I had a chance to go to this hospital and advocate for someone that has a kratom disorder. I had a chance to meet a doctor that had one other case in the past, and she advocated for me to come and to detox and to learn more about it. I knew I wanted to go to detox, and I immediately wanted to get back into group therapy because I needed to find my troop again. I needed to be with other people like me. I needed to be in group again. I needed to have that sense of belonging. So I did my 48-hour detox with this amazing doctor and this amazing team who really helped me. No judgment, made me feel comfortable and safe, explained the benefits of the medicine they were giving me, the length of time I can be on it. I went into that treatment center with very negative thoughts of Suboxone because of things I've read, things that people have told me, things that I've seen online, stories that I've heard. But what I'm going to say about that is that most of those stories, they aren't true. It's people that really don't understand the benefits of this medicine. And it's people that have an adverse relationship to the use of Suboxone because there are risks with being on a drug like that long term. There's a risk of abuse. I knew that going in. So I needed that education and that help to make me feel comfortable to say, this is the only thing that's going to help me detox and make me feel safe. And let me tell you, the way I feel now, even 60 days later, the color back in my face, the weight that I've gained, all the awful things that have shredded off of me since getting off of kratom with the help of Suboxone has been a life changer. So after I detoxed and went into an IOP program, I was in that I did 8 weeks of IOP, which is a meeting 3 days a week for 2 hours in the morning at the rehab center. And I knew that was the way to get help. And that's the route I took to get out of the world of kratom.
So are you still using the Suboxone to support the recovery?
I will be honest and open because I know people are going to have different reactions to this. I am still on Suboxone. I'm still taking it. It's been very beneficial for me. I have been very careful with it. I've been open and honest with my support team, with my husband on how it's used, what it's used for. I've educated others struggling with kratom about the benefits of Suboxone. My plan is to be on it for as long as I need. That's my own private personal story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to share, how long I want to be on it. It's bad for this, it's good for that, because that's frankly it's really no one else's business. And it's nothing against you, Libby. I'm just saying in general, if I will be on it for as long as I need, but I'm on a low dose at this point. I started high in detox and I went down low pretty quickly. And now I'm still on a maintenance dose, hoping to get on to probably Sublocade within the next month or so. My care team has really helped me navigate Suboxone. They've helped me understand the effects of it, the long-term effects of it, how long you can be on it, how long you should, the do's and don'ts of it. So I want anyone listening that's, if Suboxone's your only way out and you're using a level of 7-OH that's extremely high and you're withdrawing within hours, I just don't recommend tapering. You're going to go through hell for days, and you're going to keep spending money, and you're going to keep hating yourself when there's medicine and help to get you through it. So yeah, I'm still on it. I'm on a low dose along with all my other prescribed medications with my care team. Everything, taken as prescribed, medications that I can use as needed if I do. And I've embraced that as part of my care plan. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to say that I think that all drugs have their time and place, and especially with something as sensitive and nuanced as this and getting off kratom, like each individual needs to make a choice for themselves, and certainly I think that sometimes Suboxone's indicated, and people just need to make that choice for themselves.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I want to add to that, to this whole, I keep talking about a care plan. And what I see in talking with people, Kratom users, what I see online, what I see in support groups, people trying to uplift each other, and it's great. There's just a group of people out there that are all advocating for what they need, and proving to others that you can get off it and you can have a great quality of life again, and you don't have to live in the shame and the guilt. But what you absolutely need, along with your care plan, is therapy. You need to be with a counselor, or you need to be in a program. You can do NA, you can do AA, you can do recovery Dharma, a Buddhist based approach to recovery. If you don't have that element of support in your sobriety, your chances of picking up again are going to be really, really high. That's what I believe. I'm advocating for the IOP programs, the support groups online that are led by professionals, going to meetings, meeting others, being okay with talking about your addiction, being okay with asking for help and going to a group, once or twice a week. Because if you do it by yourself, you're going to get in your head again. And I've suffered enough relapses to confidently say that I knew if I was going to get sober from my kratom, I needed to get on medication and I needed to get back into a group setting. So that's why I went back to IOP, intensive outpatient. If there's people listening to this that have never explored the world of sobriety, I recommend just going online, looking for outpatient groups in your city, in your state, looking for professional support, looking for a therapist, find a meeting or a smart recovery meeting. Find your troop, find your support, find your sober support. If you pair the sober support and you pair it with, professional help and medication if you need it, your chances of staying sober long term are going to be much higher.
Yeah, absolutely. So a community is huge for sobriety. Yeah. That kind of leads me into my next question, actually. What is your recovery looking like these days?
Recovery's been great. I just actually finished my last classes for peer recovery support. I got my certificate. I just need to get my final accreditation, and this is my step into a career change. This is my step into helping people and working in recovery. My background is mostly fashion, visual merchandising, marketing, and things like that. I live in a town where there's lots of work opportunities in that realm of business, of fashion and design and things. But it took me a long couple of years and a lot of pain and guilt and shame and sadness to realize that my calling is working in recovery, I think. So I was really excited to get the invitation from the podcast to really speak to it and to use it as a stepping stone to where I'm going to be hopefully in a year. And I don't know where that is, but I know it's going to be helping people. I know it's going to be listening to those who are struggling. I think what the world needs now is just someone to talk to, someone positive, someone helpful, someone who will listen, someone who can give you good advice. And there's a lot of really sad, scary things happening on the news, and which I made the decision to kind of shut that part of my life out, just being mindful of what I'm watching and listening to, and just asking people how they're doing, talking to people at the grocery store, just being a good human. So I never thought that the way I was going to help people was going to be getting sober from multiple substances, including alcohol and kratom. So I'm excited to see where I'll be in the next year or two.
Yeah, your mess becomes your message. I love that. So
absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
What is a peer support specialist? Can you tell me about that?
Sure. I took a class. It's called Peer Recovery Support. There's lots of states that I believe, are doing it. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and it's a program offered by the state and is offered by Ohio MOS, mental health. This is, part of the state here. And peer recovery support is basically taking about 60 hours of classes, virtual, sometimes in person, learning all about recovery, learning about trauma, the stages of change, how to help people, the effects of drugs in your system, what social assistance is available. And basically, as a peer recovery supporter, you can work out in the field, and we're pretty much just there to listen. We're not there to to diagnose. We're not there to treat. We're not there to tell you what to do. We're not there to tell you what drug to be on. We're there to help you and meet you where you're at. We're there to help you if you have questions about what sobriety is, if you have questions about how to get medication or assistance. So it's kind of a gateway person in early recovery. And it was offered in Ohio, and I started learning about it in treatment in my last treatment facility. There are some pamphlets on it, and I just immediately fell in love with the idea that through my sobriety, I can excel at learning all about how to be sober and how to help people. Peer recovery support was a great way to do that without, really going back to school or getting a new degree. You got a certificate, and you're not making $1 million a year, but if I could help someone at a crossroads in their life when they're ready to make a change, like that would mean the world to me, to maybe ultimately save someone's life. Yeah, I've lost friends. I've lost friends not even from drugs. I've lost friends that are young from alcohol. I've been in treatment centers where I've shared rooms with people that aren't here anymore, and that's really scary. That didn't hit me until I lost one or two really not super close, but people that I sat in circles with, people that I learned about their life and their children and how they want to fix themselves. And then, knowing they're not here anymore, it breaks my heart. Like I just want to make a difference in someone's day, even if it's that, so peer recovery support is a great way to do that. And I encourage anyone listening that is new to recovery or struggling with how to ask for help. Look for peer recovery supporters in your state, in your city. There's so many great resources that are offered publicly through the government in so many places, and you can make a difference, and you can ask for help. If I can do anything today on this podcast with this platform, Libby, it's encouraging people to ask for help for themselves. I know some people are going through hell. I've been there. We've been there. We've been through the withdrawals and the pain and the shame and the financial, it's just everything. The best thing you can do is ask for help and find your support and work towards getting over that shame and that guilt and that fear, because you can get there. My rock bottom wasn't my rock bottom. I hit rock bottom so many times, and I fought to get back to where I am, and I'm really proud of where I am. And was it an easy road to get here? Absolutely not. I've lost friends, that I can't talk to anymore because of their use. I have people in my family that still struggle with addiction, and I want to help them, but I can't. It's just, I only person I can really work on and love and respect and help and really worry about is myself. So that's my message to everyone today. Respect and love yourselves, and be grateful for this platform to learn from other people's stories. The stories will help you. And I encourage everyone to look for those resources in your community, because they're there, and you can get the help you need.
Really, really beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that message. Anything that I didn't ask you that you really want to go into, or anything we didn't cover?
I don't think so. I'm really glad we got to hit, a lot of topics. I really wanted to encourage people to seek out the social support that they need, because when I get in the forums and when I get into the comments and the people trying to help other people, it's a shame to see that there's not a mention of go to IOP, go to a meeting, go find your support. Because mostly what I'm seeing is do this, buy this, do that, take this many capsules, drink this much water. And when you're in the bathroom writhing on the floor, like that's not going to help you. Like you need to find the professional help. You need help along the way. You need guidance. You need that sense of community. I remember reading the opposite of addiction is connection. So when you find those connections, they're going to bring you a lot of great things in sobriety. So find those connections and ask for help and really work on yourself. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm really looking forward to helping people in my community, and I'm really grateful to have found a Kratom support network that's been very helpful, and it has helped guided me to this podcast and to this moment. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you keep in touch. I'm excited to see what the next year or two unfolds for you.
Yeah. I think you're going to be busy, and I think you're going to be helping a lot of people, because it's just, the more I read about it, the scarier the stuff gets. And I'm glad it's being outlawed in certain places. And this podcast is great because you can hear from people that are working in legislature trying to make a difference, like boots on the ground. You can hear from people that are struggling, that are married with children. You can hear my story. So keep sharing people's stories, Libby, because they're making a difference, and it's a beautiful thing. So.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. I think that's a really great place to end.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.